Kia ora koutou. Today I want to do something a little different. Some of you may be familiar with the phrase inductive Bible study. It was made popular by a guy called Walter Wink back in the day. Walter encouraged people, as others had, to put aside some of the historical, critical commentaries and approaches to the Bible, and instead read the Bible as like stories, and in particular ask yourself where you fit in the story, or how the story resonates with you or the people you know or your situation. So it starts from where people are at, rather than saying, did this really happen, and what were the factors that led to this, and all that sort of thing. So today the reading in the lectionary is the story of the Prodigal Son. And for those of us who have been around churches all of our lives, it's a very familiar story. There's essentially three characters. One could say, well, there's five with Jesus and the audience being characters as well, if Jesus was the original storyteller. But the story comes across, as we hear it in Sunday school, three characters. Younger son, dad, older son. Let's just think about these characters for a moment. Younger son. Well, he was born in privilege. He was the younger son of the patriarch of the clan who owned the farm. He wasn't born poor. But something went wrong, didn't it? Now, we don't know what goes wrong sometimes with younger people who, something went wrong and he went off the rails. We know the story. But what? How? Could have been prevented. Was it jealousy of his older brother? Was it some bullying behavior? Was it some abusive behavior? Was it a falling out with his father? Maybe his father had said something that really got under his skin. And of course the silent mother in the story. Was it a falling out with his mother? Whatever, we don't know. But what we do know is that kids fall out with their parents, with their family, with their siblings. So he approached the dad, and here a bit of that historical, critical stuff is important, and that we know from Second Temple Judaism, which was the time the story was constructed and told, was that when a son asks for the inheritance before the dad dies, it's like wishing the dad dead. So there's a big cultural insult. So his son approaches, and there's probably a bit of a barney between dad and younger son. And dad sort of says, okay, you've got to go your way. Here's your inheritance. And in doing that, to all his neighbors, particularly to his eldest son, he looked like a complete nutter. Why would somebody do that? Why risk the financial security of the farm by dividing it up at this stage? We don't know what grief is, but we do know again that parents and children fall out over money and possessions. So, younger son goes off, and he squanders it. Maybe people take advantage of him. Maybe he's ripped off. Whatever. He goes to a really low place in his life. And the pig's a symbol of that. They're in Jewish thought, that was a pig was an unclean animal. He was among the unclean. He was unclean himself, this youngest son. And then the text says he came to himself. What is it? How does that little click happen? Because some kids we know don't come to themselves. They get into the drugs, they get into the bad scenes, they get led away by influential peers, they go in a downward spiral. And some of those spirals, they don't or can't it seems impossible to come back from. Some take their own lives. It's really tragic, and we know about those spirals. But there is, in his case, in this story's case, something clicks, comes to himself, says, even the hired workers get better than this back at Dad's place. Why am I putting up with this shit? Literally. And so he turns. That's the meaning of the word repentance. He turns and he returns. But not that he or the father or the elder brother, nobody believes that you could actually turn the clock back and start again. That's not what it's about. It's not what repentance is about. It's not what turning's about. But he goes back, and then there's this scene where the father, who's been out looking for him, who's got this wound in his heart, this balmy they had, this falling out, this grievance, whatever, is wounded, the father. And parents know what it's like to be wounded. Some a lot worse than others, of course. But this father, so he also hopes, he keeps on hoping. And some commentators who, want to say the father's God in the story. Well, that actually is not really helpful. God's not a man, he's not a patriarch. Like get out of that anthropomorphizing thing and say some of the behavior of the dad is really exemplary and stuff that is healing, and we should emanate that. And yes, it's Godish, yes, it's of God, yes, the Spirit of God is in that behavior, in that love in particular. And he embraces the youngest son before the son could even apologize. Just the son coming is enough. And the sort of, yes, there's a feast, but everybody realizes this is like starting again. It's all pretty fragile. So there's fragility here. There's fragility of feelings of the younger son. There's fragility of feelings of the father. And of course, in the father's mind too is the elder son, who has been a spectator there, all this. He's had a younger brother, he's seen him sort of become discontent, and whatever went on for him, he's sort of seen it as a bit of a spectator. He's sort of seen or heard of the balmy with dad and the fallout and taking the inheritance, which puts his inheritance, the elder son's inheritance, at risk. So, it gets personal, it starts in the pocketbook for the elder son. And love for your brother gets complicated in all this money inheritance. Who's going to inherit the farm? Who's the elder in a patriarchal society? It complicates love at times, and it makes it messy and makes it painful. And I think the elder brother, when I hear the story, I hear some pain in him. And this pain is when the father wants to throw this feast of welcome back to the son. The elder son insults the father, and again, that's the historical critical stuff helping us out. The elder son insults the father by not coming, by going off. And then the father, again, a bit like the, dividing his inheritance to the younger son, he leaves the feast and he goes out to this elder son who's insulted him by not attending. So the father, where's he going? He's the patriarch. He doesn't go and grovel to his elder son to come and join. But this is a father who's motivated by love, but love in the sense of that he wants his sons, his kids, to get on with each other. And particularly when he pops off the earth and gone, are his kids going to actually like each other, love each other, be loyal to each other, support each other? And it's a question that many parents have. How do you build sibling relationships, good sibling relationships that endure? So the story throws us up. And the story also doesn't end with I think the scholars call them a maxim, like a saying at the end. And thus, all sons should know that, kind of like some wise words at the end. No, the story doesn't end there. The story just abruptly ends. And it's like, we've got to write the ending. Will we write the ending as an elder son, as a father, as a younger son? How will we write the ending? What will the ending be? Will the old man die of a heart attack and the elder son say, right, I'm in charge, younger son can bugger off? How will the ending end? And what are the demands of love if they go on living together? What does love mean? This kind of difficult love. This love that gets into finances, that gets into who's got the power, gets into how we care for one another. What will love ask of us? So this is an inductive way of doing Bible study, and I've asked a lot of questions as I've been talking, and the questions for us to go away and think about. Who am I in the story? Who do I identify with? Have I met someone who's like a younger son or an elder son or like a father in this story? And what's the pain and the hope that they have? Blessings to you and all whom you love this week.